Hi, it's Stephanie. Welcome to Ageless. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, everybody. If you've ever been to New York City, you know there are lots and lots of people, especially in Times Square. How awesome would it be to sit next to someone at a Broadway show and at the end of the show, start building a friendship? Well, that happened to me just a few months ago. Making new friends is always doable. I want you to meet my friend Trina, a very talented lady. Welcome, Trina.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Yep, it's so odd because, we were just sitting in the theater right next to each other. I've never met anybody like that. So thank you for being so gracious. You were so nice. So nice. You are nice.
Yes, I try to be.
Well, anyway, give us a little inside view of what living in New York is like. The restaurants, the entertainment, the shopping, the people, everything.
Living in New York City is different from visiting New York City. I will say that. It's not as glamorous as people think it is. It's like moves fast. There's a lot going on. Most people who live in New York City, like me, I try to avoid Times Square, because it's a touristy area, so you don't want to spend your time. But, if you go to the Broadway shows, New York City is it's a hustle, 24/7 hustle.
What do you mean, like a hustle? I don't know.
It's just like just like everybody is on the grind in every state that you go. But in the city, it's almost like you have to come up with new things to be noticed, make money, because it's not cheap. That's the main thing. New York City is not cheap. Getting more and more expensive. When I was working, my day-to-day was getting up. I get up at the crack of dawn because I like to arrive before everyone else. I would get up 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, because I'll be on the subway by 6. To me, that's one of the most peaceful times to be on the subway, because you're with the working class. Like, that people who have to be at work early, those are the most peaceful people.
I see, okay.
And so it's just like, I would say, coming from, we have Uptown, so it was downtown to Uptown. So Uptown is usually like Harlem, Bronx. I lived in Washington Heights. So then I worked in Brooklyn. And so it took me about 3 trains to get to my destination. So a lot of people, that sounds like a lot. Yeah, and it's a lot of walking. I like to walk though, so it doesn't matter. Living in New York City, but it's fun. It is fun because there's always something to do. There's something for everyone. Like, if you work hard enough, you can find your tribe of people. There's always somebody that's going to be into what you into.
And lots of restaurants.
Yeah. You could live your whole life, go to a different restaurant, still not been to every restaurant.
In New York?
Yeah.
Wow. Do they still call New York the Big Apple or no?
I believe it's still called the Big Apple.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I said, I haven't heard that phrase in a long time.
Yeah, it may not be used as much, but I believe it's still called the Big Apple. Yep.
That's cool. I remember being on Broadway another time that I was in New York, and just kind of standing at the stoplight, and I turned and I looked up and I saw an actor from The Young and the Restless.
That happens all the time. You never know who you're going to run into. I ran into Whoopi Goldberg one day and almost lost it.
I know, it's like, the strange thing about it though, it was no big deal. I'm here. Okay.
Exactly. It is. It's like everybody's just moving along, doing what they have to do. And that's the thing. Like, you never know. You never know what you're going to get into. And you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're sitting next to. It's always...
That's true.
It's always a surprise. It's always a surprise.
Oh.
I love it.
I think that's the highlight of New York, because there's always something new. There's always something that you can find out about, the city, about people, and even about yourself. So.
Exactly. I'm originally from Connecticut.
Are you?
Yes. I moved here when I was 35 to pretty much, I was like, I'm going to do this, pursue my dream. And it really tests you. It really, like, coming out here, it really tests your strength. Because, a lot of people, they make it to 2 to 5 years and they leave.
Oh.
Because it's not for everyone. I always tell people, if you have a career that's not necessary to be in New York City, I wouldn't recommend it. I say just visit. It's not for everyone. It's not easy. It's not easy living. But the misconception is people are nicer than New Yorkers get credit for.
Yeah, it is so true. Well, let's move on. I want you to share a little bit of who you are, starting with growing up and your college years and all of that, and the women. We're talking about women and encouraging women to be more connective, less combative, less, I'm this age and I can't meet this person. Just really trying to encourage women.
Okay, like I said, I grew up in Connecticut, and one of my hobbies that I was always doing was sketching. I was always sketching dresses and that was always my thing. And so I came up with the thought, like, I wanted to be a fashion designer because I was obsessed with fashion. I would always watch all the runway shows. Like, they didn't show them a lot back then, but when you could catch them on TV, I was always watching them. I always had fashion magazines. I was that girl. And I guess I used to talk about it a lot because when I talk to people in my past, they'd be like, yeah, I remember you used to show me your sketch. I'm like, I did? I was like, oh, okay. And so I remember even my aunt, she bought me my first sketch pad.
Wow.
Because I was just always like on a notebook. So she bought me my first sketch pad. I was like, oh, this is cool. So I draw all my sketches in there. And so then I went to school for design. I went to Mount Ida College. They closed a couple years ago. They're now like a part of the UMass campus.
All right.
I developed a lot of friendships there, especially like in my curriculum. I speak to still one or two girls there. Yeah, it was just everybody. I remember one of the girls that was in the same curriculum as me. We would always be on top of each other. She'd be like, "Did you do your assignment?" And I was making sure that we used to pull all nighters to get our assignments done. But then, like, but then college, I was conflicted because I didn't know, like, it's so much, this is what I want to do. Once I graduated, it was just like sewing. I just didn't have the passion for it. I wasn't honest with myself then, but then I had to be honest. Then I had a friend. She was an entertainer. And so I would always like style her for shows and I help her like get her look together and everything. And that's when I started having fun.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think at the time when I went to school, you really didn't learn much about wardrobe styling it wasn't a big thing. It just wasn't a big thing. There's people that did it. They didn't go to school for it. There wasn't anything taught. Maybe FIT maybe had like small programs, but everything was fashion design. I really didn't. So when I started styling her and then I started styling family members, sisters, aunts, everybody, that's when I started having fun. And so that's how I kind of fell into wardrobe styling and personal styling and putting outfits together.
So did you have your own business or you just kind of did it for people that you knew?
I didn't really have a business. I was still going under the Trina LA Styling, but I really didn't have an official business. It was just, I was just doing it. And like anybody that wanted, to be styled, I styled them. I remember even like my sister, she was in college, like she was a year apart from me. When I remember I came home from college and she was going to her prom and she had like her dress was like this, I feel like it was an Asian inspired like black dress. And I was like, put some red shoes on. She was like, no, I'm not going to wear black. I was like, no, I think you should put the red shoes on.
Okay.
And she did it with the chopsticks and she looked nice. And it's so crazy because now from then, if you see how she dresses now, you were so scared to put those red shoes on now, and the way you dress now, you just couldn't tell. Because she's a little bit more, put patterns and prints together. Yeah.
Oh, you need to come to my closet.
I can.
You would probably throw everything out.
I do offer that service.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. What floor do you live on?
Now I live third.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me like 23rd or 30th floor.
Oh, no. I have a rule against that.
Oh, thank you. That's my only beef with coming to New York.
Yeah, it depends on what building, but I've always lived in older buildings.
I see.
I mean, older buildings have like a good charm to them, like
and lower floors.
They're like the way they're higher ceilings, and the older buildings are like on the outside they look away, but if you go on the inside, they're usually beautiful.
Well, you are very, very talented. I'm not going to take that away from you. I want people to know what you do or what you did and how you got involved with production.
Okay, so I worked on a TV show, Blue Bloods. It's a cop show about a family of cops. I was the costume coordinator of the show, which was pretty much, I kept the whole costume department together. Yeah, so I was working there on that show for, I think, 4 or 5 years. It was a good amount of time. Like, I worked my way up and the show ended. But before that, I mean, I call myself a costume designer. I used to work as a costume designer, and I've done a lot of independent films. I always had a dream of moving to New York. It just like every time I came to New York, it just felt right. Like I was supposed to be here. It makes sense. I'm supposed to be here. So then when I finally took that chance, I went to New York, and it was my friend that I was styling too that, we shared an apartment. I was a visual merchandiser at first.
What's that?
A visual merchandiser is when you see the stores, the retail stores, the mannequins dress. I used to style the mannequins.
Oh.
Also, like how the clothes are laid out on the floor, like everything is to standards, like, anybody with a wheelchair should be able to go through the aisles. So we corrected those. So I did a lot of that. But when I moved to New York, it's funny because then I got introduced to somebody. He needed a stylist. He was doing a film. It was in Connecticut. So I moved to New York to do my first film in Connecticut.
You were commuting, right?
At that time, cause it was a short film. I didn't need to commute. So I would just stay there at my mother's house, and just, until it was done. And then I came back to New York. And then from there, I connected with another stylist. And she called me to assist her on another film, which I happened to be like part of it. The part that I had to take over for her was in Connecticut, which was crazy.
So back home.
Yeah, so I had to go back. And so that actually is so funny. I got an email from the producer just this week saying that they're finally going to show that film, stream it.
Oh, and your name will be on there.
Yeah, maybe as an assistant. After working on the movie that I did, the last film where it was Ice-T and Sonny and them, there's a lot of the crew members, because that's what we have to be careful about. You have to be advocate, with the paperwork. You have to be your own advocate, because what happens, a lot of us didn't get paid. So after that, I was just like, I'm getting into the union. So, I could be protected from all of this. And so I worked on getting into the union, and I joined a class. There was a black costume designer. Her name was Rebecca. She was the assistant costume designer for Blackish.
Really?
Yes. And so she held a course for, how to get into the union, how to get into the costume designers, how to become a costume designer in a union film and everything. And so I did that, and with that you learn, you get connections, and you try, you do what you have to do. And that's when I met Zania, who's the one that moved to Atlanta now. She was working at the time. She was working on Power as a PA. Because the way you start out it's like you have to go back to from the bottom all the way back. Like, you know how I was costume designing on film. So when you're costume designing like independent film, you're pretty much a whole department. And once you get onto a union project, it's like the department is broken up. So everything you would have did yourself, now you have a whole team. And so I can't just go in and be a costume designer. I mean, some people do, but you know. And so I started out as a PA, and the PA for a department is usually the person that does the errands. And, but you know, I was grateful at the same time because then now I was learning, because I actually didn't learn how to be a costume designer. I just jumped my way in and just faked it, you know, and just did it. I mean, I was good at it because I just felt like I was just a natural at it, but I learned different things on my way to, you know, now if I get a costume designer role, but as a PA, I was just you do all the errands, like picking up the shopping, doing the returning for the shopping.
That's a lot of running around.
Oh my gosh, yes it is.
That's all day.
Yes, because especially because I worked from Power to Blue Bloods is such an extreme difference. Like Power is like, it was high-end clothing. So I was like, you know, I was always in the high-end stores, you know, picking up the clothes. I remember I had to go upstairs and pick up a rack of clothing for shopping. And it was like, I was like, I'm here to pick up the clothing, you know, for Power. And it were like 2 racks of clothing. I was just like...
2 racks?
Yeah.
And it's just you?
2 or 3 racks. I was just like... And a lady laughed at me. She was like, welcome to a Frank Fleming production. Because the Frank Fleming is the designer.
Ooh.
Of Power. He studied under Ruth Carter and everybody. He's very talented. But yes, the shopping is excessive.
Ooh.
And so, I remember I walked into Barney's one day and I was like, I had like bags of clothing and the security guard just took pity on me. He was like, do you need help? Yes, please.
3 racks, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it was just like a lot of running around, but you learn a lot. Because in the meantime, you're learning the city. Like, if you don't know the city, you're learning the city. You're making connections at the stores. They're knowing your face now. And so it's just like you have to be careful how you carry yourself when you're coming in contact with people because everyone is a connection. And so you have to be pleasant and you have to, know your stuff because people will remember that.
Wow.
And so then from there, I got the call to fill in for somebody at Blue Bloods as a PA. And so once I got into there, I was like, okay. And that was just easy. By the time, from Power to Blue Bloods, this is easy. This is so easy. Because the shopping isn't that enormous. And then at the same time, it was just easier. And I was just a temp. But there was somebody there, no matter if you're a temporary or whatever, always 100%. Because there was a person that they were kind of sick of who was a permanent. So I pretty much came in and they were just testing me out without me knowing. By the next week, I had a full-time position.
Ooh. So anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Because it can be stressful. So you want to deal with people that you know you work well with. It's when it's you don't want to deal with drama when you're doing this because it's just... You're dealing with so much. You're dealing with the director, you're dealing with the writer, you're dealing with the producer, you get hair and makeup, you're dealing with the crew, you're dealing with so much. So you got to make sure that the team of people you have are people that you like.
Listening to you just kept growing, kept learning, and kept reaching. And there were people that just poured into you and you just learned, you watched. I appreciate what you're sharing because there are a lot of women that just kind of sit back and say, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. It's too hard or nobody's giving me that chance. But you were willing to get out there and just take a risk, not where you're just living crazy, but you were in an environment where you were able to say, I'm going to try this. If I fail, I fail, but I'm going to have a plan B. What would you say to encourage them to say, if my plan A does not work, what do I do next? How do I get to the plan B? Or what should I do to prepare for that?
I mean, I'm honestly still working out my plan B. The show ended, my department wrapped in August. So I haven't worked since then. This has been a period of resting and figuring out, cause I needed to rest, cause
your days were long. They were long days.
Yes, they're 12-hour days. Well, 12-hour days for me, Monday through Friday. But a costumer who works on set in the union could work 15 hours in one day.
Ooh.
I remember coming back, when we came back from the pandemic, things were crazy. So we had new procedures, cause everybody get tested and certain people couldn't be on the set. I was able to go on set all those other times. But then once the pandemic hit, we all had different color badges. So there was the blue badge, which I was a blue badge, so I couldn't go on set. So during the when that pandemic was heavy, we were all separated, so we couldn't go on. I couldn't go on set, and so I couldn't learn anything.
But I would say you do have a plan B, because I'm looking at your background. You have your styling. You're still doing it, so you have a plan B. Your plan A is not quite where you want it to be. But how would you help?
Leaning into what you already know.
Yeah.
Because styling, I know, is something that I love. And that's something that always people tell me I'm good at. Because, my sister will always say to me, Trina, you're the one that taught me how to dress. And then, and there's people that I've taught how to dress. I didn't think of it that way, but it's just cause I just did it maybe you should do this and just do this, put that together. And sometimes you have to go, what do I have to lose? Because I might as well just try something different, or just try, just push for it.
Well, I just want to say this about you. When I met you at the theater, I would never have guessed what you did. And you were so just very kind, you were gracious, and you just carried yourself very well. And when you told me what you did, I was like, what? I'm sitting by somebody that does TV. And she's talking to me like she's a regular person. No, but really, a lot of people have this idea, me included, that once you meet someone who has that fame or stardom or whatever, that they're going to be a certain way. You were not that way. You've always been kind. We've exchanged texts and all that kind of stuff. But never once have you had this, I'm better than you, or I work with so-and-so. You've never done that. And I appreciate that.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
You're just regular, and I appreciate that.
It does and once you're in this industry, you realize most actors and celebrities, they're just regular people. And so I've always been taught to treat everybody with respect, no matter who they are, what position, because you never know, because we're all people. And so that's why I just treat everybody with kindness. I talk to everybody the same way. I give everybody good energy as best as I can. And it's funny because in this industry, what you'll realize, the most successful actors or the most successful people are usually the most humblest people.
Well, let's talk a little bit about relationships. Okay. Who are the women in your life right now, no matter what the age, that have inspired you and continue to inspire you in your craft or just in your life in general?
Well, I know right now, not two, three. I don't know if you hear my phone going off in the background. It's a group chat with my sisters and my niece.
Okay. Their family's always good.
Yes, but they are, because my younger sister, we're a year apart. And so we're like twins. We've always been people have always asked if we were twins. But yeah, that's pretty much my best friend. And playing for it, whatever. So I was like, all right, this is the date I'm picking. I picked the date out of thin air. It was August something. And she was like, okay, well then that's the date. Things just started happening. My friend, she already lived in New York. She was subletting an apartment. And so I remember I took a day off, and I came over and we were talking, and she was just like, well, how about this? We could split the rent, the sublet apartment, cause the person she was subletting, he used to go out of the country a lot. She's like, he's going to be gone for a little bit, so why don't you come and, do this together? I was like, oh, okay. So then it was like, I was like, I guess I'm moving to New York. It's just like, I had no plans. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything. The only thing is like, I had the money, like my 401k. I cleared all of it. I cleared all of it out because like I'm moving to New York. We gonna make this work. So it makes everything. I just took it all out. I was like, we gonna do this. And so I got to New York and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? I have to look for a job.
It was your sister that really started the ball rolling when you said, I'm done. And she said, find the date. And had it not been for her, you'd still be at the Hartford.
Yeah. She's always been that one. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, we have to talk sense to each other. Like, well, because, she calls me. I'm like, we be like, all right, let's see where we're at. And this is, let's see if we can get a plan together.
And that's great. So, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Watching her, like, where she started to where she's at, and she's continuing to grow. She's the vice president of something in the realtor. Well, I was like,
oh, wonderful. Congratulations to her.
Thank you. Yeah. Then I have my niece, who's her daughter. She makes pastries. And she went to school for that. And so I'm telling you, I know people think I'm biased, but she has the best cheesecakes. I don't care. She does.
Does she ship?
She does though. They're really good. But she's, doing her thing, decorating cakes, and she's always been on her path. Those are the women that like inspire me, like to keep me going. Because when I see like all their like achievements, I'm like, okay, I can't be the only one in this group chat not doing it.
But you know what's also cool? First of all, your family. That's the first thing. Yeah. But there are different ages in there, and you connect and you encourage, and you're encouraging your niece, and she's inspiring you, and that's what this is all about. We're not here to compete against each other. That really defeats the purpose.
But it really does.
So that is wonderful. I love it. Define for me the word ageless.
I say not putting limits on yourself. Because, a lot of times when I feel like when people get older, they always like, I can't do this because I'm this age. Or, it's just like, no, you could do it. Vera Wang didn't become a Vera Wang until she was, in her 40s, 50s?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who haven't done things that they're big now, but they didn't start until they were like older in life. So you can't put limitations on yourself. You got to get out of that mindset. So to me, ages is like living life without limits.
Love it. Love it. How would you encourage a woman not to be so focused on their age?
First of all, I always recommend taking care of yourself because, I know we don't like to work out, but it helps. I say always keep your mind going, like whether I always like to read a good book. And then, always lean back into your childhood. What did you like to do when you were a child? Do it. Like with this drawing. It may sound silly. If it's a coloring book, get a coloring book and color.
I like that.
Dip back into your childhood because, sometimes the answers is that we let things go because we feel like we're supposed to as we get older.
Mm-hmm. I have 2 more questions for you because we're almost done. I really appreciate you doing this. This has been so much fun. I've just enjoyed so much being with you. If you were a spice, which one would you be? And then how would you take your spice and pour it on the women around you to make them better, to encourage them, or just connect with them?
The only thing that's popping into my head right now is cayenne pepper. Because I feel like cayenne pepper, is always going to get people moving. And if I was to pour myself onto everybody, you're not going to stay still.
That's true.
And it's healthy. It's healthy. So.
All right. I like that. What is one nugget of wisdom that you received from your mom that you're living by, that's keeping you moving, or that's just made you a better person?
My mother used to always say to us, like, we used to always stress over bills and like, I can't do this because I got bills. She'd be like, the bills are always going to be there. And so pretty much what she was just saying, just live your life to the fullest. That's the one thing that she always say. The bills are always going to be there.
Okay. Just make sure you're having fun.
Exactly.
Trina, this has been amazing. I have enjoyed every moment of this.
I enjoyed this as
and
well.
I just want to thank you so much. And is there anything you want to leave or say before we close?
I would just say, just be true to yourself, always. I'm like, listen to that voice in your head, because it's trying to steer you in the right direction.
Those are good words. Someone said that to me today. It must be for me. That's somebody trying to tell you. That's your angel trying to talk to you. I have been immensely blessed by you. I know this was not an accident. I know God placed you in my life for a reason. And I am just thankful for just this time. I know you are going to continue doing amazing things. You are super talented. And thank you so much for being with us today. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Hey, my friend. Thanks for joining me today on Ageless and for being an amazing part of this journey. Don't forget, you have been fearfully and wonderfully made. Go out today and live this life vibrantly. Until next time, bye for now.